Deathless Terms of Service. This document defines the terms under which the employment of a person by, and therefore the terms of the said employee's service to, Deathless Conflict Solutions, hereon referred to as DCS or the corporation, are held. Should an employee be found to be in breach of any of the following articles, their employment contract shall be immediately terminated, with extreme prejudice, and any benefits or pensions accrued to that date will be cancelled and returned to the legal and financial control of DCS. Article 1. Loyalty. An employee of DCS is expected to display complete and unrelenting loyalty to the corporation. As such, it is required that all incoming personnel relinquish any previous attachments, including but not limited to nobility, acre credit or debt, and liturgical vows. As part of the employment process, a series of vows are given to the recruitment officer in charge of the employee's recruitment process and recorded for official record keeping. These vows are provided here for confirmation as to the correct wording for legal purposes. I acknowledge that I am forfeiting the vestiges of my former life to be a DCS employee, including noble status. I henceforth pledge myself to undying loyalty to DCS and its contracts, even if the contracts of DCS should harm the interests of any of my former associates, be it noble house, business, friends, or family members. I shall not oppose the decisions of DCS. Section 1. Right of recusal. All DCS employees are provided the right to recuse themselves from any assignment that might conflict with their internal biases. Should this come to light after the associated contract has been signed and the employee in question has been provided with orders, it falls to the employee in question to find a colleague that is willing and able to fulfill the role they have found themselves unable to complete. I acknowledge that I have the right to recuse myself from contracts where I feel I am compromised by positive or negative bias. If I should be unable to fulfill a contract, I engage myself to find a DCS employee with which to accept the contract in my stead. Section 2. Exego Requirement. As a result of imperial law, the formal agreement of noble grievance, 2964, all of those of noble lineage wishing to join the ranks of DCS must first fully complete the exego process and provide documentation to this effect to their recruitment officer. DCS will provide no assistance in the completion of this process, and it must be done at the employee's expense. If I am still in the possession of my noble status, I acknowledge that I am not entitled to training, pay, or benefits from Deathless Conflict Solutions until I have been through legal exego and have my nobility officially and legally revoked. Article 2. Any DCS employee is required to follow direct orders from their superior officers, as long as the orders are in compliance with Deathless Authority Regulations, DAR. If an employee has doubts of the legality of an order, they may choose to contest it. It is in fact an employee's duty to contest non-DAR compliant orders. A warning, however, if an order is contested under the assumption of DAR non-compliance is found to be in fact legal, the employee will be put under severe repercussions. Section 1. Examples of DAR compliant orders. Opening fire on a contracted enemy. Opening fire on uncontracted targets under the threat of violence. Putting your health and safety in danger in the scope of an operation. Firing upon another employee if deemed necessary due to any concerns. Causing major collateral damage if specified by the contract. Being administered drugs and other enhancements as part of an operation or standard medical procedure. Note: standard medical procedures are defined by DCS to include testing of potentially enhancing drugs and implants. Section 2. Examples of non-DAR compliant orders. Any action that would explicitly breach undying loyalty trademark. Engaging in embezzlement of DCS funds. Firing upon an uncontracted target in other cases than justifiable self-defense. Execution of another employee without proper justification. Accepting a contract that would bring a DCS employee into conflict against another DCS employee. Causing damages beyond the scope of a contract if specified. Section 3. Consequences of insubordination. Although a full outline of disciplinary measures can be found in the Deathless Disciplinary Code, DDC, here are a few examples of measures that can be taken if an employee proves to be insubordinate during their duty. Monetary sanctions, extra duties, court-martial, firing from the company, imprisonment, field execution. Each measure can be put through appeal outside of a few select options. The DDC also covers the process by which each measure should be applied. Article 3. Benefits. All DCS employees are entitled to full medical care at any DCS installation. Room and board provided either at a DCS location or at the cost of the corporation, and a full pension upon completion of a sufficiently long-standing contracted term. Section 1. Medical care. All medical care that an employee of DCS requires during their employment by DCS shall be provided by the corporation. These services will be provided by either the DCS medical staff, or if they are unavailable or insufficiently skilled in the necessary provision, by contracted medical staff from one of the corporation's partners in the Immortal Association. Section 2. Room and board. During a DCS employee's tenure, their basic needs of room and board will be provided by the corporation. This will be provided at a DCS facility or encampment, or at a private location at the expense of the corporation. This expense will be limited to the cheapest option that provides the requisite facilities for the ongoing health and well-being of the employee. This boarding is mandatory for operations personnel in their first 2 years of service, or any personnel in training, field exercise or deployment. This boarding can be made mandatory for other reasons at the discretion of an employee's commanding officer, or any member of the War Room or the Board of Vice Presidents. Section 3. Pension. Upon completion of a requisite term of employment by DCS, all employees are entitled to a pension. The pension provided is dependent on the length of the term spent employed by DCS and the eventual role that employee holds within the corporation upon their retirement. Should an employee be unable to receive their pension after the end of their contracted term due to incidents encountered as part of their employment with DCS, then 75% of their projected pension will be available for collection in a lump sum by any dependents the employee can be proven to have been supporting at the time of the incident. Section 4. Exceptional benefits. There are a variety of potential means to gain benefits provided by the corporation beyond the basic package. Should you achieve a high enough office within DCS, many of the basic packages will become augmented by an increase in the funding available to support them. It is also possible to receive benefits that are not provided on this list via exceptional work and the provision of large increases in income to the corporation. Article 4. Contracting. As an accredited employee of DCS, you are permitted to pursue independent contracting ventures. Contracts made directly with DCS employees are respected by DCS as a corporate body in consideration of the following conditions. Section 1. Training. The employee entering into the contract must be fully qualified in their specific trade and have a minimum of 4 years of experience within their field of expertise with good conduct. Section 2. Permission. The employee must first have filled out the necessary paperwork to request transfer from their regular unit or department to independent contractor status, after which they will be submitted to a review board composed of their commanding officer or manager and other evaluators to judge their ability as an employee. If everything is in order, then they will be permitted to take contracts of their own volition. Section 3. Pay and benefits. For as long as an employee maintains independent contractor status, their salary from DCS is limited to a minimum self-supporting stipend, calculated based off the employee's area of expertise and length of tenure with the corporation. Their benefits, however, will continue to accrue as if the employee were performing their normal role within the DCS corporate structure. The employee is entitled to medical care, resupply and boarding at any DCS holding. Independent contractors will be able to use the facilities and personnel at any Deathless outreach office to negotiate terms of contracts. Section 4. Undying loyalty trademark. Any employee taking advantage of independent contractor status is still an employee of DCS and expected to abide by the stipulations of undying loyalty trademark. Due to this restriction on an employee's contracting capability, DCS will keep them informed of all new instances of undying loyalty trademark. This will continue for as long as the employee in question continues to initiate and report contracts using the provided DCS data terminal, so as to ensure they are never unintentionally in breach. Section 5. Available services. Any employee making use of the independent contractor status is able to contract out any services that they themselves are capable of providing. It is also possible for multiple employees under independent contractor status to provide a wider range of services by providing each other access to contract out their services to potential clients on their behalf. No employee under independent contractor status is entitled to contract out the services of DCS as a whole or in part beyond this, however. Section 6. Group Independent Contracting. Any group of employees that wishes to form an independently contractable squad may do so. However, the squad must be composed of approved Deathless employees only who also have the independent contractor status. This squad must be registered and approved with the proper forms through the chain of command, similarly to the process by which an individual employee gains independent contractor status. Section 7. Return to conventional services. At any point following their acceptance, an independent contractor may be called back to their home unit. They must comply with this order at their earliest capability while not breaking any contracts that they have signed an agreement for and not yet achieved completion of. An employee with independent contractor status may also wish to re-enter conventional service. They may do so by placing a request with their home unit or department's commanding officer or administrative head. Article 5. Identity. Any fully contracted employee of DCS is entitled to a complimentary change of identity upon recruitment, free of any charge. An employee may also be required at some point during their career to change their identity as part of a corporate restructuring or a promotion to a management role. Section 1. Identity forfeiture. As part of the process of changing identity, the employee's previous identity is surrendered to DCS to be included in the Eternal Record trademark, so as to continue its use as necessary for the corporation. Any identity submitted to DCS control in this manner may be used in whole or in part in any manner that DCS sees fit to further the goals of the corporation. Section 2. Identity grants. Any employee that receives a new identity from DCS will have their credentials provided by the Eternal Record trademark. As such, it is possible that the identity may in whole or in part include details that are familiar to other members of DCS. Should the use of a new identity result in uncomfortable familiarity from previously unknown members of DCS staff, it is advised that the employee endeavour to learn of their new identity's past and integrate with their new compatriots. To facilitate this, the Eternal Records are free to be accessed by DCS personnel willing to learn more on the history of past employees. Section 3. Compulsory identity change. In some extraordinary circumstances, any DCS employee may be called to take on a new identity in order to continue their duties within the mercenary company unhindered. In some situations, it may call for a simple family name change, call sign change, or even a full identity remodelling. The purpose of this is to ensure the constant security and good conduct of DCS operations.